Miss Whitney Christina, thank you and welcome to the Listening Bee.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited you reached out.
Yeah, well, I would love to know a little bit more about your background and how you got into hypnosis.
Well, I think listening to your background a little bit, I'm kind of like you. My family grew up um, asking questions and really thinking, being empowered. Like if you are not in a situation you like, that you just change it. And so, as like a junior high schooler, if something wasn't going right, I would find that people didn't normally change things. Things weren't going in their life, and they would just look on it and go over it and over it and over it. And they would just have more of that. And I thought that was really odd. And so I became an access consciousness facilitator, which is a really cool modality, which asks questions to open doors to possibilities. And that was really awesome. And I would help a lot of people with that, but I would find that the change that they wanted to make and they made while we worked together didn't stick. So a change could be, if they wanted to quit smoking, they'd come back to smoking. Or a lot of them had to do with a more personal kind of a thing, like they wanted more confidence, they wanted more self-esteem, or they were trying to grow their business, or they were trying to change the world with consciousness, whatever it was that they wanted to do. 6 months later, they would not be doing it. And I came across hypnosis, and I came across this particular type of hypnosis that was a, a straight line from the time that I learned to change things in my family to everything that I'd learned as a facilitator. um, the reason that it wasn't sticking was because the subconscious mind had not made the change. And so if you don't get to the root of the issue or where the limiting belief is or the habit is formed or something like that, it stays in your subconscious mind and it comes back because that's the way that you've been. You for maybe 16, 17 years, for some people 20 years, 40 years. That has been the reality for 40 years. And they just didn't know the truth about themselves. They had some misinformation or misperceptions of someone they were when they were like 5. And they've been living with that for the rest of their life. So I just was really excited when I found out. And I found this type of hypnosis that it was all a straight line of everything I've been living my whole life. And it is the tool that I needed to help make the changes permanent.
Wow, that's an amazing story. And I find that too. I find that people so often we try to solve symptoms and we don't find and solve the root.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, if you don't get to if you look at the problem like a little oak seed, right? And if you um, don't get to where that seed is planted, you have this huge oak tree that's been there for 40 years. But with hypnosis, what we can do is we can go back to where the seed was planted and go just before where that seed was planted and just not plant that seed. So that limiting self belief that there's something wrong with you, never plant that. And so
Wow.
you know the truth about you. There is nothing wrong with you, and there never was.
That's a beautiful metaphor for it. I love how you made that example with the tree. And that brings me to question, like, so many people, they don't know much about hypnotherapy or hypnosis, but they think, "Okay, if I wanna solve a problem, I go to therapy or I go to a psychologist." What is the
Mhm.
difference between hypnosis and regular therapy?
Well, interestingly, there are psychiatrists, there are counselors that do regular therapy that also use hypnosis because hypnosis works. Um, a lot of times, like if you're going to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, they are working with a medically diagnosed, I'm going to say symptom because they diagnose the symptoms, but they're working with a medically diagnosed condition. And a lot of times there's medications that they use to treat those symptoms. There's other things that they can do, like talking about your problem. I mean, is great, is really helpful, and there's a lot of things that can be fixed with that. Um, What hypnosis does is, so I'm a hypnotist. I'm not a hypnotherapist in Texas. Interesting. If you are in the state of Texas, in order to be a hypnotherapist, you have to have a medical license. So you have to be like a psychiatrist or a psychologist, or you have to be a counselor, like a LPC or a MCSW, one of those. So if I were in a different state, I would be called a hypnotherapist, but in Texas, we have that
Interesting.
designation. Um, and I have a dear friend that is also a counselor and does this kind of hypnosis. And she's a really great mix when there's somebody that has a lot of things going on, like maybe bipolar, or some other disorders don't work well with hypnosis. She works with them and knows what levels she can work with and what she can go to and stuff like that. So I kind of went down a rabbit hole there, but
No, I love it, thank you.
uh,
That's really interesting.
interestingly enough, too, I have had I work with a book called The Secret Language of Feelings, and I have had psychiatrists, pediatricians, doctors, counselors. They look at that book and they go, "My patients need this." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, they do." But I have a number of counselors that come to see me. I've had doctors come to see me. So hypnosis works for everybody that wants to make the change.
Wow. And it sounds like it's inserted into various professions in ways that we don't always see and recognize that, "Oh, that's hypnosis."
Yeah, yeah. Well, interestingly enough, humans go into hypnosis every day. So, do you drive?
I do.
Okay. Have you ever been driving somewhere and it's somewhere you go all the time and you get in your car and then the next thing you know you're there?
Yes, and I don't remember
That's
how I got there.
yeah, yeah, that is a natural state of hypnosis. That's road hypnosis. We go into hypnosis all the time. Um, or if you've ever been in a movie or watching a movie and someone would go, "Hey, hey, I was talking to you." You're like, "Oh, oh," because you were so absorbed, so focused on that movie. That again is hypnosis. Um, what's really interesting is that while you were in that road hypnosis, you were conscious 100% of the time, as then evidenced by the fact that you um, changed lanes, stopped at stoplights, got off on the exit ramp, got on the right exit ramp. You did all the things that you do when you normally drive. So you're conscious, but you're in hypnosis, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So, in those moments that you're in that kind of hypnotic trance state, if you're driving in the car and you're in that state and you're playing music, does the music, like, what they say, like, does that create suggestions that impact you stronger?
It could. There's a school of thought saying, like they put subliminal um, messages in some kind of music. I know that that was a big thing in the 80s. They were always putting subliminal messages in the not always, but they're putting subliminal messages in the music. And if you played it backwards, you could hear all kinds of things. But what and I use binaural beats when I do hypnosis with people. And the binaural beats help the suggestions go deeper. So there is a little bit to that. Um, but I wouldn't say that, listening to, I don't know your favorite music, but you're listening to I can't think of a guy. Oh, who's the guy that sings Parachute? I love him.
Parachute.
Chris Stapleton. So
Never
if you're listening so if you're listening to Chris Stapleton, um, I don't think he has any subliminal messages that he's putting in there, but you're just, hearing the song. Here's the thing that most people ask me, and your question kind of alludes to that. People want to know that they're safe when they go into hypnosis. So a lot of times people ask me, "Can the hypnotist make me do things I don't want to do?" And they will, bring up a picture in their head of maybe a stage hypnotist that they saw, that the person got up and flew around like Superman and quacked like a duck and all of that kind of thing. Um, so the stage hypnotist is very selective in who he brings up, and he is bringing up people that are highly suggestible, and they are also, if you knew the people, they would also be extrovert kind of people.
Mhm.
They would be the kind of people that would get up on the stage normally anyway. Um, and uh, they're doing things that they're comfortable with doing. A hypnotist cannot make you do something that you don't want to do. So if I said to you, okay, start smoking cigarettes while you were in hypnosis, if I said something to you that you were morally or ethically opposed to, you'd come out of hypnosis and you'd go, no, no, I don't think so. That won't work for me.
Right.
Um, or if I gave you a suggestion in hypnosis and it wasn't congruent with who you are, um, you would just wash over it. It'd be something that you wouldn't do. Kind of like when you're driving down the highway and you see an exit and it's not the right exit, so you don't take it, right?
Yeah.
So in hypnosis, I can't make you do anything that you don't want to do. And there's the three levels of your mind: the subconscious, the unconscious, and the conscious mind all have a safety factor in it. So again, if I said, hey, why don't you go out and rob a bank? You would come out of hypnosis and go, no, I will not
Yeah.
rob a bank, um, because you're conscious the whole time. Just like
Mhm.
when you are driving a car and you see the brake lights coming on ahead of you, what do? You step
Right.
on the brakes. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. And you mentioned that there's subconscious, unconscious, and conscious. I'm not familiar with the difference between subconscious and unconscious.
Okay. Good question. So, um, the unconscious mind, I kind of call it like the id brain, right? That all of your autonomic factors go there. So your breathing, your heart rate, all of that stuff. And some of the primal emotions, right? Like fear, like anything to do with survival kind of live there. So that's kind of how I break it up, if that makes sense.
That does. And then the
And then
subconscious.
the subconscious mind is like 90% of your brain function comes from your subconscious mind. Your conscious mind can only hold about 9 things in it. And so, you'll keep the top 10, and then when you get a new one, something's got to fall out. But the
Hmm,
subconscious mind remembers everything and forgets nothing. That's the good news and the bad news.
that makes sense. So is that why some people they can remember certain things, but they forget some things that happened in their childhood, but their subconscious remembers it?
Yeah, a lot of times if there's no medical condition based problem, then there's just so much going on that they just forget about it. Some people, their conscious mind or unconscious mind could be protecting them from something that happened that they don't want to remember.
Hmm,
So there's some of that as well.
it's protecting them.
Hmm.
How does that work?
Um, so say they were in a bad car accident and they didn't want to remember all the things around it. They didn't want to. Their conscious mind was kind of protecting them from that until they could deal with the trauma. So they would not have any memory around it.
Oh, interesting. So it's like a protection mechanism.
Absolutely, absolutely. And people that have childhoods that are not the storybook childhood, there's things that their conscious mind or their subconscious mind likes to protect them from until they're ready to face it and deal with it.
Wow. And then so whenever they grow up, they don't remember those things, but whatever happened that's stored in their subconscious still impacts how they interact with the world.
Exactly, exactly. And then they wonder why they can't sleep at night
Mm.
because their mind is going over and over and over and over and over and over. And they take on some kinds of behaviors, like for instance, hypervigilance, which like if something happened that they um something scared them, and so they want to make sure that that doesn't happen again. So they're hyper vigilant all the time, um, and that can sometimes cause anxiousness, right? And so it's a heightened state of fear. You're always looking for the next shoe to drop, or you're always looking for that thing to happen again, and it causes people to go. I call it ruminating, go over and over and over and over and over, and you just keep getting more of that. So
Wow.
sometimes things like sadness or anxiousness feed on themselves because you're going over the thing that you think that you're thinking about in your subconscious mind is really tricky. It goes, oh, she wants more of that. So I'm going to give her some more of that. And what we do in hypnosis is we address the root of the issue, and then we give the subconscious mind something positive to hang on to, something that you do want to have happen, that you are more confident, that you do have great self esteem, that you do know how to do this or this or that.
Wow. So the negative rumination is what makes the seed grow into that tree, but then hypnosis goes back to the seed and goes no and replaces it with a positive tree that
Right,
grows.
right. We hopefully unplant the tree so the tree never gets planted, but we put in there all of the good things that are true about you so that you grow up confident. And when I say grow up, I mean, a lot of people that see me are already grown up. So they just come out of the sessions with the sense of confidence that they didn't have when they walked in.
Wow. And it lasts.
Mhm.
Very
It
cool.
was. Yeah.
So with some of the most self-aware clients that you've had, what do you see are like some of the most common subconscious blocks that they have?
Well, um, the human condition is kind of universal, right? So um, there are limiting self beliefs about whether or not you're lovable, and if you believe that you are not lovable based on something that happened when you were little, and that's usually when things like that happen. It's your 2-year-old brain goes, "Huh? Yeah, mom yelled at me. She must not love me. If she doesn't love me, then nobody's going to take care of me." And this is the id brain that goes into the 2-year-old id brain. And if she doesn't love me and she doesn't take care of me, then I'm going to die. So that's like an extreme reaction that you're having as a 2-year-old. But that's what you have. And so addressing that at the root, going, yeah, no, mom yelled at you because she was protecting you, and she does love you. And so just kind of change the perspective there with the adult perspective that they have. Um, makes makes a permanent change because there is nothing wrong with you. That thing that you thought was wrong with you. Don't you know you'll never be a doctor? Don't you know you're not smart enough? Don't you know? You hear that over and over and over. And your 5-year-old, your 7-year-old, your 15-year-old, you goes, oh yeah, I'm not smart enough. Oh yeah, I'm dumb. But that's not true about you at all.
Wow. So it sounds like one of the most common ones you see is that I'm not good enough or I'm not lovable enough.
That and that there's something wrong with me.
There's something wrong
What
with you.
what's wrong with you? Don't you know that? What's wrong with you? Don't you know that? And a lot of times parents are not intending to create a wrongness in the person's mind, but they hear it every day from the time that they're, you know, 5 till the time they graduate college, or even as an adult, their parents will say, "Don't you know you're not good at math?" Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess that's true. But again, back to the human condition. So love, or there's something wrong with them, um, or something happens, and they're just carrying this heavy, heavy burden around with them that they just need to forget. Um, and how do you forgive something like what happened? Um, so the human condition is pretty basic. I mean, there's several factors that just play over and over and over again. So I see a lot of that.
Yeah. That's really fascinating. Thank you for sharing that. That's making my brain go in like a loop and thinking and everything. Wow. If you, like, could talk to a few young children that maybe they experience their parents saying, "You're not good enough, you're bad at math, you're this," and them thinking they're not lovable, what would you tell them?
Well, young children are fabulous because they are unlimited potential,
Huh.
and they are unlimited. There's all the possibilities, right? They haven't been. written and scripted yet. So I would tell them, you have this feeling inside of you. You know, when you feel like you're just being lifted by a balloon and you know that, yeah, I really love math. I really love horses. I really love doing this thing. Just follow that. Just follow that and know that there's nothing wrong with you. And that's what you that's like kind of following your dream, right? Your basic knowing of the thing that makes you really happy and really laughing and really just bubbly and like I said, feeling like you're lifted by balloons. Just follow that. Also, you got to mind your parents,
Yeah.
but
Oh.
it's mostly for the parents. You kind of have to. So again, I talk about that book, The Secret. I don't have it. The Secret Language of Feelings, and the secret language of feelings is the one that the pediatrician is like, my patients' parents need this because it talks about what feelings are and the fact that even if a feeling doesn't feel good, it's not a bad feeling if it's based in reality. So, um, more to the younger people, I talk about their feelings and help them understand what the feelings are for. If you think about feelings as the indicator lights on your dashboard, if the check engine light came on in your dashboard of your car, what would you do?
Check the engine.
If the oil light came on, what would you do?
Check the oil.
If the gas light came on, what would you do?
Mm. Check the gas.
Right, right. You would never in 1,000 years um, not
Ignore
take the
it.
car to
Yeah.
a mechanic if the check engine light came on. Or if you ignored the gas light, what would happen?
Yeah, it would not be good.
Right, you'd stop going. You'd go for a little while, you stop going.
Yeah.
Um, but so if you look at feelings like the indicator lights on your dashboard, let's say anger. So a lot of people I see have been taught to push down anger and
Mhm.
ignore anger and just blow it off. But
Right.
anger is there to, it's a very important feeling to let you know that you, if it's based in reality, that you feel like something is unfair. So if you look at what just happened and it was in fact unfair, you have what's called righteous anger. Anybody in your situation would be angry. And the anger is there to motivate you to make it fair.
Mm,
Does that make sense?
that does.
Um, so let's use an example back to the driving, right? So we're famous here for a little bit of road rage, right? And
Yep.
so you're driving down the road, and then this guy just cuts right in front of you, beep 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 beep, honk, mad, and you're feeling angry. Okay, well, according to the secret language of feelings, that means you feel like something's unfair. Was it in fact unfair? Well, yeah, that guy cut me off, and that's unfair. Is it really unfair, or did you also, like, have you cut people off while driving and you got the little beep, beep, beep? So you can see that if something is really unfair, um, you'll get that anger and it will be you'll be motivated to make it right. And if it's not unfair, like, yeah, that road rage guy, I've done that. I've done that, so I can't, then the anger fades. So the secret language of feelings tells you what that feeling is for and what a satisfying response for it is. So the reason that the feeling faded with the one that you'd done before is because you checked it against reality and it was not, in fact, unfair because you've done it too.
Huh,
But
that's
if it was
incredible.
something that you thought you felt was unfair, and it really was, then it motivates you to make it fair. Um, I've seen interesting cases with some of my clients that were attorneys, right? And they have this mission to make things fair because in their childhood things were just not fair, just not fair, and they had the power to make it fair. So they made a career out of
Mhm.
making things fair.
Wow.
but it's for anger and guilt and sadness and inadequacy and loneliness and stress and boredom, like all of those feelings, they're real feelings. And if we pay attention to them and say, okay, here's what I'm feeling here, and what's a satisfying response to that, then the young person, can you imagine growing up in your life knowing, oh, I'm angry. This is what anger is for. Okay, so then I do this, this, and this. Can you imagine if you knew that as a youngster instead of like being 45 years old and perpetually angry and blowing up in inappropriate situations, maybe causing you to have some court cases because you just inappropriately exploded and it just came out. Well, that comes from years of pushing it down instead of having a satisfying response to it. So for your question, for the younger kids, I just give their parents the secret language of feelings and have their parents work with them on that. Because
Wow.
if you can come out knowing if you come out knowing what the lights on your dashboard of your car are for, what's going to happen? Your car's
Gonna
going to be
fix
well
it.
maintained and you're going to go far, right?
Yeah. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for explaining all of that.
Oh yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, and that makes me think about, like, when you're a kid, if their parents read The Secrets of what was it called?
Secret language of feelings.
Secret Language of Feelings. Um, how do you know if your anger is fair or unfair? Because
You
I feel
think
like
you
it can
do
be
a
skewed.
reality check. You do a reality check.
How do you do
So
that?
so with a little kid, okay. So why are you angry? He took my toy. Okay, is it unfair that he took your toy? No, I took it from him first.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, the anger goes away. Um, or he pushed me down. Is it unfair that he pushed you down? Yeah, I wasn't doing anything. He just walked up and he pushed me down. Anybody in that situation would be angry.
Uh-huh. But then you have
Doesn't
to teach them to not do it back, right?
you got to make it fair. So however you make it fair, I'm not going to step in on moral decisions of parents and their purview. Um, so yeah, I don't condone violence with anyone, but I also don't condone that you take it
Mhm.
because it is unfair. And as long as because that could cause a different issue, right? That if you're
Yeah.
always taking the kid pushing you down, it turns into accepting abuse.
Mhm.
And I would not want to condone that. So that's why parenting is you got to be on site. You can't Monday morning quarterback parenting.
Yeah.
um,
Wow.
yeah, because you want to make sure that you have strong boundaries. You want to make sure that that person that pushed you down knows that's not okay and they're not allowed to do it ever
Right.
again.
So if you were the kid that was pushed down a lot as a child and you learned to accept that and not retaliate and not feel that anger, and then you grew up with that and you don't set boundaries, what would you do in that situation? How do you get strong enough to be in that balance between, okay, this is fair, this is unfair, but even though this is unfair, I can do something about it.
So anger happens, right? It's hardwired into us. Like the emotions and feelings are hardwired into us. They're there to tell us something. Um, so if you're the person that accepts it and takes it, and yeah, nobody likes you, everybody hates you, I'm gonna eat worms. Yeah, then you're thinking yes, yes, yes. And then you're the kind of person that doesn't have really good boundaries that people treat like a doormat. And it doesn't have to end up in like abuse, but you just kind of don't stand up for yourself, kind of get walked on, that kind of thing. I do have people that want more self esteem and more self confidence, and they're just at a point where, they're angry because of all of these times that this has happened. Is that fair? Is it fair that all of these times that this happened that you, so they have some responsibility too, right? They accepted the behavior.
Mhm.
Um, But
Ah,
they
so
but
that
they knew but they knew what they grew up with, right? So
yeah.
only know what they learn. So now that they have these new tools, their boundaries become firm. Yeah, no, you're not going to be able to talk to me that way anymore. Mhm. And just assertively, calmly, but firmly just go, yeah, no, that doesn't work for me. And what's really amazing is people that I work with in hypnosis will come out of doing the program with me, reading the secret language of feelings and doing some other things that I do with them. And it's really interesting that their boundaries are just there. So when someone does try to cross that boundary, they're like, no, that's not how this is going to go. I'm not going to participate in that. And I just have some really beautiful examples. I had a woman that, yeah, she just she got a new position, and she had a team of people, and she had a little bit, she called it social anxiety, like in social situations, she was like, I don't know what to do. And she knew what to do. She's a very smart woman. And then she got a job or she got promoted to a position that worked right under the CEO. And the CEO was known to be a grizzly bear, a yeller, and an interrupter, get really angry. And this woman was explaining her week to me, and she said, yeah, I had my first meeting with my team. So you know the social jitters come up, right? She's got this team that think, well, you're from you're not from here, you don't know what we know all the things, and you're new. And so, she had that to overcome. And the boss comes in and goes, wow. And she just turned to him and she looked at him and she goes, I could see why that would be upsetting. Anybody in your situation would be upset with that. I'm here with my team. My team and I are going to discuss this right now, and we're going to come up with solutions. And so when I'm done with this meeting, I'll come and talk to you, and I'll talk to you about what it is that we came up with. He instantly de escalated. That's what he needed to hear.
The
He said, okay,
validation.
great. I'm looking forward to that. And he leaves. And our team then looks at her going, wait, she just handled the monster in the room and he's happy. And now we don't have to be anxious and all the, we can focus on the problem. So she should be really good at what she's doing. So she overcame both things naturally and easily. And she said, last week, I would not have been able to have those conversations. I would have been so nervous. I would have been on the floor in the bathroom in the fetal position, curled up, just knowing that all the things were going to go wrong. But she just naturally and easily, she knew what it was. She had the boundaries and she knew how to de escalate from the secret language of feeling. She knew he was feeling something was unfair. He said the things. We'll look for a solution. So it just came out. She's like, I wouldn't have been able to do that last week, but this week her boundaries are set. She knows her worth. She knows her job, obviously, because she got promoted. Um, and and they continue from there. So I just have so many stories like that where people, however they grew up, whatever misinformation they had, whatever misperceptions they had, we just work with them to discover the truth about them.
Wow. That is such a touching, beautiful story. You must be so proud to help so many people's lives.
Yeah, I get people that say, "Is everybody as messed up as me, or you're just listening?" No, what I see when I look at the people that come in is their potential. I see how awesome they are. I see how amazing they are. I see all things that they came on the planet to be are right there. And I get so excited when they find it. Almost that is so fulfilling for me is they find out who they are and what their purpose on this earth is and how they can make a difference, and they just change their life so dramatically. It is so fulfilling. I get really happy. So I love talking to people, and even if you got some stuff going on, you know what? I know we're going to get through it.
Wow. That is so beautiful what you do and how I love how you've explained everything in this podcast. It's been so amazing and enlightening. And I wanted to start asking every guest a new question. And I think that this is the perfect time to start with you because you've just had such amazing, like, metaphors and connections and stories that you shared. So, what is one piece of advice that you've learned from your entire life? Like, what is your life advice?
My life advice is, like I tell the little kids, your purpose feels like those lifting balloons. So follow that, whatever it is, no matter how weird
That's
I do every Friday, I do something called Feel Good Friday,
I
which
saw.
where I have a group hypnosis where people come in and just take just a little bit of time from wherever they are. We Zoom and do a group hypnosis and they get hypnotized to feel better about themselves, less stressed. Last week we did worthiness. The next one coming up is just stress relief, like the big ball of stress coming up. So I invite people to join me on Feel Good Friday too.
That's awesome, and more people can find you on your website, correct? And any other places?
Website is www.whitney Whitney Christina, whitneychypnosis.com. And that's it. And you can listen to me on this podcast and some other podcasts.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Miss Whitney, for joining me today. I had such a
You're
great
welcome.
time talking to you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Take care.